Welcome to Fire&Smoke. My name is Amin Sheikh, and today I'm going to show you how we made this.
Barky, moist, succulent, 12-hour oak smoked briskets.
What you're going to need is some meat. So what we've got here is a UK Costco brisket. It's not like the American briskets, it's got less fat and it's already heavily pre-trimmed. It also comes completely rolled up and completely tied. So let's get it out of the bag and let's see what we're actually working with, because there's going to be a lot of trimming required in this one. So first off, let's get all of this string off and let's see what we're actually working with. Pat it nice and dry. So now all the strings off, let's see what we've actually got. So a Costco brisket, as you can clearly see, comes, there's taglines on it, there's some big flaps on it, as you can clearly see here. This one's been butchered all the way through. There's a couple of big bits of fat there. However, the marbling on this one doesn't actually seem too bad. We'll give it a little bit of clean up on the inside, obviously. We'll get it heavily seasoned. What do we want to do here? Let's just start by just trimming off some of the loosey-goosey bits. Now keep these because we're going to try something else later today. We're going to do almost like burnt ends, but we're going to do it just using all of the trimmings. It's going to be like this. Some of it's going to have more fat on it. A little bit of an experiment while we're running the brisket, so we may as well try it out.
So let's just get this one fully trimmed. This isn't a perfect trim. If you want to trim more, go for it. If you want to trim less, then again, that's perfectly fine.
Now, this guys is by no means perfect. All we're effectively trying to do is get a very traditional brisket shape. If we're going to do competition barbecue, you get laughed at the door for this brisket, but this brisket itself is basically, it's a commission for a family friend. It's going to be fine, it's going to be delicious, it's going to work out no bother at all. It's not really going to go any further. I'm going to keep as much fat on here as I possibly can. I'm going to try and get it rendered down. You can see there is quite a heavy fat cap on this one, so we should be okay. Normally I would take this down a little bit further, but I really don't see the point. As I said, all we're doing it for is a family friend. So you've got your brisket here, then you've got your pile of trimmings, and as I said, don't throw this stuff away. There's a lot of it. We're going to cut it up, we're going to dice it. We're going to attempt to do brisket burnt ends. So one brisket done. Oh, but wait, we've got another one. Exact same situation again. Let me quickly whip through this. Let me get all the string off. We'll give it a quick clean down. We'll see what we're working with. This one actually looks a lot better straight off the bat. It's got a bigger fat cap on it. It's got more uniform shape. There doesn't really seem to be any or very many gouges and cactuses on this one. So, in fact, that's a lie. They are cut right there, right through. Again, guys, this is what you're going to get with Costco briskets. They're not 100% perfect. If you do want to spend the extra money, or you can afford to spend the extra money, if it's for a specific client or a barbecue show, then definitely do it. But let's quickly just trim this one up. Is it perfect? No. Is it going to be amazing? Definitely. Is it going to render down nice and evenly? Hopefully. So I've got both our briskets, and all we need to do now is get some seasoning and get some rub on there. Now, what we like to do here at Fire&Smoke is keep things super simple and super traditional. We're going to use some mustard, and that's basically just going to be quick binder. That's going to get it all over the place. It's going to get loosey-goosey. It's going to allow the next parts of the ingredients to stick. We use garlic, pepper, and salt. I'm pretty sure it's a 3/16" mesh coarse ground pepper, which we buy from Costco as well. So you're going to see here's from Costco. The mustard's from a local supermarket. It's cheap, it's cheerful. It really is just to bind anything on there. The garlic granules, again, cheap and cheerful from a supermarket. You can buy these in sort of Costco sized packs as well, but you'll never use as much garlic or mustard as you do salt and pepper, especially if you're just a home barbecue cook. So let's quickly get some flavour on these, and then we're going to get the pit lit, and then we're going to get these in. First up, we're going to do both of them. It's going to be a wee bit messy. We'll just get it going. Get the mustard everywhere. Probably should do these one at a time, but as I don't really tend to want to get too messy, we're going to try and just keep it all with one hand. So with one hand, let's just get them both done. So that's it. Just some mustard binder in there. So there you are, 2 briskets, fully mustered, ready to take on whatever seasoning you can throw at it. Now, everybody is different when it comes to the level of garlic and salt and pepper they want on theirs. I personally love to create a good bark. I like to cover it in it. Let's just get it on. So there you have it, 2 perfectly seasoned fire and smoke briskets. Are they trimmed perfectly? No. Am I bothered? Not really. Could they be better? Definitely. Are they still going to taste amazing? 100%. Let's get the chimney starter lit with lumpwood charcoal only. We're going to get it into the firebox. We're going to get a couple of wood splits on there. We're going to let the pit come up to temperature. Then we're going to put these on.
We're going to let it burn all the way through, and then we're going to get it into the firebox. Now that the coal's into the firebox, all we want to do is get one split in there and get an open flame. I prefer to leave my firebox door open about 1/4 inch. Now we want to get a couple more wood splits in there, let them fully ignite, and then we'll get everything closed down and get the pit up to temperature. Within 5 minutes, these are fully ignited, and as you can see, we've got full open flame. Once we close the pit, the flame's going to stay lit, and it's going to create some amazing draw. Before the pit's closed, don't forget to fill your water tray.
Do stick a meter probe into one of these 2. That allows me to check the ambient temperatures while we're obviously cooking. So we'll just stick this into the fattest part of the meat, take it down to where the meter probe's comfortable with it being in.
The next couple of splits, as you can see, are almost fully burnt through, pit's up at temperature, so let's get the meat on there. This is what you should have, 2 briskets in the pit, ready to take on lots and lots of smoke and lots of flavour. Our second round of wood is burnt out, so let's get more on there. We're going to be doing this every 15, 20, maybe even every 30 minutes for the next 12 hours, so stay with me. Let it fully ignite before closing back down the lid of the firebox. As you can see, by doing this, we're burning nothing but clean smoke. Another 20 minutes and time for more wood again. If you can keep the wood separate, you can put a little bit of wood along this side. That's again just kind of pre-emptying the temperature. Gets it there, as soon as you get it landed on those coals, it's going to light up like that. You're back to cooking, back to clean smoke. Let's get the lid down. The meter probe box is here. The probe is inside obviously here. We'll have a quick look actually, see how we're doing. Now we have just put that bit of wood in there, so it's creating a little bit of smoke just now, but there you go. We've got some colour on here, we've got some colour coming towards the back, the meter probe's there, we're starting to get some dripping, some fats. The internal temperature just now, we are looking at exactly 235 based on that probe, but I'll check that because that'll give me a more accurate reading than what that will. But again, it just gives me a little bit of basis for both. It just means because I've only got 1 meter probe, those little things that cost about £5 off of Amazon, just allow me at a glance just to have a quick open the pit and go, oh, okay, so that's what temperature we're at. Do I need to add wood? Do I not need to add wood? But again, the more you barbecue these things, guys, the more you get used to your pit, the better you're going to become at it. Couple hours into the cook, and what we've actually done here is replenish the coal bed with some of that lumpwood charcoal. The wood splits that you get from whiskey barrels don't necessarily create great coals, but they do spike the temperature and they do keep things smoky. So just that charcoal along with your wood to keep things rolling on smoothly. What we're going to do is a quick check-in. So the brisket has now been on for about three and a bit hours. As you can see, we're burning nice and clean. There's nothing kind of untoward going there. Temperatures up the top are reading obviously a lot higher than what they were at grate level. So this one on the right hand side is generally, to be honest, at least 100 less than what it is at grate level, and the one on the left is at least another 75, 100 again. So remember, your grate level is going to be down here. These are all the way up here. They've got 3-inch stems on them rather than the 4-inch stems, so they're not going to get all the way down. But yeah, let's have a wee quick check in and see how we're doing. And as expected, we are doing really good actually. We've got some good colour on there, starting to get some darkness.
We've got a bit of pulling in here, but we can't do anything about that because again, it's a Costco brisket. They're not being trimmed 100% perfect. Again, is it going to taste fine? 100%. There's going to be no difference to the flavour. We've got a wee tiny bit of curling in the top right hand side, and that's just due to me losing control of the temperatures a tiny bit. They went from about 225 to about the 310 mark for about 10 minutes. I didn't spot it. I'm barbecuing, I've got a family, had to deal with something in the house, came back out, and that's kind of where we're at. Just added a couple more fresh splits of wood. Now, these aren't actually whiskey barrels, these are actually cherry barrels. I'm just trying this out to see whether or not we get any different flavour, if any of that actually imparts into the meat. Now, I know from fact and experience, using the whiskey barrels, flavours there amazingly. You can smell the whiskey, but it doesn't actually impart any flavour or any additional whiskey essence onto the meat itself.
A little while longer into the cook, and the water tray is completely dry, so let's just get that filled back up straight away. We are now 5 and a bit hours into the cook, about 5 hours and 15 minutes, and as you can see, everything's getting really dark. It's taking on a lot of colour, taking on a lot of flavour, super smoky, super charry, and it's starting to get that really good bark.
So at this point, look at it. It's completely darkened down. You can see some reddish hues off it, which means it's taken on lots of smoke. It's taken on absolutely massive amounts of flavour. The smells coming off of this are insane. They are incredible. This is where we're at. 7 hours into the brisket, 7.5 hours in, and we're just finishing the wood back up. That's a little bit of extra smoke you can obviously see there just now. We're just ultimately waiting for that to come up to temperature before we close the lid back down. Yeah, so we'll just continue to spritz it, which is again apple cider vinegar and water, 50-50 mix ratio. That just keeps these super crusty bits here, which you can see probably here, they are getting super crusty now, which is fine. It is all part of the process. You can also wrap these in tin foil, but again, I don't like doing that because the way I finish off all of my briskets is completely wrapped around tin foil, and effectively almost what it does is it almost sous vide in its own fat, which is absolutely amazing.
So let's get a good spritz on these before we close the pit down and continue the cook. Let's get in for another quick look at the 8 hour mark, and damn, look at that colour, look at that bark, look at that red fat, look at that smoke, look at these.
Now the briskets effectively have been on for 8 hours. We're temping between 160, 165, 170, so we're pretty much there. What we're going to do at this point is we're just going to get tin foil down. We're going to get some beef tallow right on top of the tin foil. Now don't be stingy with this stuff, it's actually going to be amazing. And all this is really going to do is once it gets in the tin foil, it's going to help soften up the bark and the crispiness that we've created. Now we have created quite a lot of bark and we have created quite a lot of crispiness, so we just need something to help that through. Also doing the tin foil completely rather than the bolt method or a wrap method, or ultimately you can leave it unwrapped if you want, but for us here at Fire and Smoke, we do full wrap, full tin foil. We'll just take the meter probe out just now, but we are going to put the meter probe straight back in, so once it's wrapped we'll be doing that. So there you have it, one brisket completely wrapped in tin foil, ready to go back in the pit. We're going to grab the other one, do exactly the same thing, we'll take it from there. Fully wrapped brisket.
This is what you should have, 2 briskets, back in the smoker, ready to take it to its final temperature.
So we are at hour number 10 of this brisket cook, and pretty much things are cooking along nicely. I'm going to quickly temp probe them, but the meter reading that's currently in there just now is saying that we're about 190, and ideally we want to be pulling these off about 202, 205. Obviously different parts of the brisket might be a little bit different, but that's perfectly fine. What I'm actually getting is I'm getting about the 190, 191, 192 on the back brisket, which was in the front, and then the back brisket that I've now moved to the front, that's probing about the 195. So pretty much, guys, you've got colour on obviously there, as you can clearly see. You've got colour on there, which you can clearly see. Maybe about another hour or two and these will be 100% probe tender. We can get them off, get them rested, and then get stuck in at a later point. We're now at 11.5 hours of this cook. It's been a long one, it's been a bit tiring. Temperature's got away from us at the very beginning, but I think we're pretty much there. The internal meter probe is rocking the 203, so I think I'm going to pull them off there, give them a full rest. So there we have it. 2 completely done briskets. Now they both temperature probed at the 203 mark, which is absolutely ideal for me. Could it went a little bit tiny longer? Probably. As I said though, it's been a long cook. We're at 11.5 hours, and we're just going to get these into the house, get more tin foil on them. We're going to stick them in the oven. We're going to let them come all the way down to eating temperature. We're going to hold them there, and we're going to let these rest for, I'm going to say at least 5, maybe 6 hours.
So get yourselves a tray, get yourselves some tin foil, get them in the oven and let them rest.
So these have now been resting in the oven pretty much overnight, and it's pretty much time to take them out. The meter probe's still in there to make sure we've got them to a certain temperature. They're exactly at 160 Fahrenheit, so these are, as far as I'm concerned, good to go. So let's get them out and let's see what we've got.
This is it. Effectively as good as 12-hour Texas style smoked brisket. Barky, it's dark, it's moist, it's delicious, it's juicy, it's going to be amazing. Let's get these cut open and see how we actually did on the inside. Would you look at that smoke ring and that fat pouring everywhere? I think it's safe to say we did very well on these briskets.
There you have it, 2 absolutely perfectly cooked 12-hour briskets with another roughly 12 hours overnight. It's absolutely perfect. Let's get a couple of slices. Now, will it hold up? It holds up absolutely perfectly. Holds up in its own weight, tiniest little tug, and it's falling apart. So let's actually taste it and see how we've done. Damn. It falls apart. It's delicious. At this point, there's not really much else to do other than tuck in. But you know me, so what you want to do with this now is you've got options. You've got full briskets, you can serve them as is. These basically, this section here and this bottom section here, they're going for someone for a birthday party, so these are basically going to be vacuum packed, they're going to be put in the freezer, and then they're going to be reheated. They're basically going to be sous vide back to life. A little bit more beef tallow in there, it'll keep everything soft, it'll keep everything rendered absolutely deliciously. Your other option is now that you've got all of this good brisket, you could do some shredded brisket, you could do some shredded burgers. In fact, look how easy it is to shred it. Again, just take a bit of brisket, grab your hand, there you are. Shredded beef brisket. Let's try a little bit of that because it looks delicious. Get it in the beef tallow and the juices. That is actually outstanding. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Smash that thumbs up button, subscribe and share. Try this one at home, especially if you've got an offset barbecue. Catch you in the next one, guys. See ya.